Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi. Just pinning a comment. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm Meg from CherryPix. Hey. Gosh, pinning comments can be so tricky when you're a little away from your phone, as I am. Hello, welcome. Okay, so this is the start of a beautiful CherryChat series. I will be interviewing the cast of The Wilds starting today all the way through up until the end of January. So this is so exciting. I'm obsessed with this show. CherryPix is obsessed with this show. I mean, created by a woman, about women. What could be better? I have the pleasure of interviewing Erana James today. She plays the tough ass, complex, interesting, layered, strong-willed Tony on The Wilds. So let's get her. All right, I'm coming for ya. So excited. Hello!
Hello there.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing, Meg?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to chat with you.
It's so fun to be here. I didn't realize I was the first out of all my fellow castmates.
You are. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
I feel like Tony loves to be first. I feel like this is very fitting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You've nailed it.
You have, right? That's what we're trying to do. But I have to say, damn, congratulations on the show. Y'all got picked up for season 2. So phenomenal. I mean, you know, us at CherryPix, obviously we're all about women in front and behind the screen, and this show just encapsulates that so beautifully. So it's about damn time, and we're just thrilled.
Yeah, exactly right. About damn time. No, I feel very lucky to be a part of this show. I'm like, okay, let's just change the conversation now into this direction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's do it. It's like, woo. All right. So before we get into The Wilds, I have so many questions. First, I want to know a little bit about sort of what films or television series have shaped you throughout your life, have kind of made an impact on you, whether on a personal level, helped you through some hard times, or professionally.
Yeah, I think I feel like a lot of Jane Campion's work, like Top of the Lake and The Piano, have been like as an admirer watching, and then Andrea Arnold, like her Fish Tank and American Honey, like those films for me have, like, as from like a career standpoint, I'm like, ooh, I want that.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, those are fantastic films. Damn, Fish Tank. I mean, Michael Fassbender is so killer in that film. I feel like that was one of his first, like, kind of coming out roles where we were introduced to him, and I was just so blown away by that film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So, all right, as I mentioned before, it's so refreshing to see, not just women on camera, on screen. That's easy,
God, no.
right? Put a bunch of girls. Are we here? Did we lose connection for a minute?
Yes. I think just for a second, but I hope I'm back. Is everybody?
No, you're good. You're good. Can you hear me?
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
We're good. Okay, so I'm not sure if you missed this, but what I mentioned before, I love how the show is, obviously female forward, but it's easy to kind of just, y'all could have just stuck a bunch of young women on an island and that's that. However, what's so interesting about it is the complexities and how layered each character is. And that is such a nod to the creator. And I think that it's obviously important to see that representation on screen, but equally as important off screen, which you have in The Wilds. You have some amazing directors and writers involved. why do you think it's important for a show like The Wilds that's focused on women, focused on the complexities of women, also have women kind of behind the camera?
I think, if we're telling female stories, obviously, me being able to play it and embody it, that's one side of it. But no one knows a female experience so more in depth than a woman. So, being able to have that influence from the top down, as you say, Sarah Stryker, spoke to a lot of women in writing it, had a lot of, part-time writers come on to, have their influence on different episodes. And yeah, the directors, I mean, every conversation that we had with, the different people involved just sort of like layered in deeper, like the nuances of the stories that we were telling. Like between us 8 women as well, obviously we're telling really diverse stories that are involved in the teenage girl experience. And then being able to talk with all of us about what our teenage experience was like, it's like, yeah, that's mad diverse. And getting those anecdotes and that sort of like empathy with each other as well, like just the support, being like, yeah, shit, I did that too, damn, like, you know what I mean? And then having that like woven in. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I feel like today too, it's like we can smell the bullshit. We can, if we're watching something and it's a bunch of like, women on screen, you can tell if there were some like men behind it. Like you could just
oh
tell,
my
like, you know what I
God.
mean? Like,
Yeah, the idea of like what girls do when we're not around, it's like, ooh, this crazy thing. It's like maybe we could just ask some female input and then we can get an accurate representation. Like we're not all having pillow fights, just
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so Tony, I want to talk about the idea of control. And I feel like that's a good trigger word for Tony. And I feel like it's either the lack of control or trying to achieve control. And I can't help but think about how women, it's like if we have too much control over a situation, we're bitchy, and if we don't have enough control, we're crazy, we're mad, we're like, can you just talk a little bit about that and how sort of the theme of control plays into Tony as a character and also just the show in itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's that line, what is it? It's like, what is it? Adults love to throw that word around, always trying to use it, not lose it. And it's like,
Yes.
fuck, man, another layer of like the expectation that I'm supposed to know that like how how to hold myself together, or I'm supposed to know how to get it right. And as you said, like if I'm teetering too far on the other side, then I'm like vilified for that. Yeah, the idea of control in the show, I think it just goes back to this a lot of conversations that all of us girls were having on set, that we don't know what we're doing. Everyone that grows up is doing it for the first time, and the expectation to get it right is just so intense. And like I remember we were having conversations about like what would we have wanted to tell our younger selves, or like what would we have wanted to tell our parents during that moment. It's like, just like be patient with us, because I'm doing my best. And yeah, if I lose my control, or if I'm holding on too tight and I'm creating this like stressed out person, I'm just doing my best, like,
Yeah, exactly. I thought of something when I was watching the series. Someone on a CherryChat once said that we were talking sort of like what we want to see in the future for women in the industry, and just like women in general. And she said that women are still, now we have women behind the camera, we have women, fighting for equal pay and all of that, but we still, as women, are not allowed to fail. And I thought of that as I was watching the series, because it kind of, for me, that's a very poignant idea, especially with the teenage girl experience. No matter what your circumstances, it's this idea, and I don't think it goes away as you grow older. And it starts kind of, I feel like it starts at like 14, 15 and just never ends. And this idea of, like you said, like Tony, like if you mess up once or you lose control once, that's it. And I feel like I couldn't help but think about that idea of like women not allowing themselves or others not allowing women to fail.
Mm. Yeah, 100%. And you see that through, I feel, all of the girls, you know, like they have their own version of failure. And like, you know, like in Shelby's instance, she, you know, builds up this, you know, this garden, this mask, which is a failure in itself. And all she's trying to do is protect herself, but that's considered a failure because she's not being her true self. And then, you know, with Tony being so fiercely herself and owning everything that she is and all of her decisions, and just like, if you don't like it, leave it, that she fails in that too, you know. It is and everyone does, like, it's not I don't know a person alive that hasn't failed. So it's like, I don't know why it is this thing that is.
It is, yeah. I feel like just like society set it that way, you know what I mean? And it's and yeah, I feel like it's so interesting too, like watching, you know, because I'm like years old now, and it's been a minute since I was, you know, my youth, but I couldn't help think I couldn't help think too about how you know, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't when you're that age. And I feel like all the girls are struggling with that, but they're also in this like this bubble too of sort of seeing it in each other and allowing that to kind of impact how they view themselves. And that's all point of the, like, you know, messed up learning experience that is this island. But it's so interesting. Let's just talk about female relationships for a minute, because I love how the show just really puts on display all the beautiful female relationships in all its forms, right? And I feel like Tony, we see the backstory of a few female relationships in Tony's life and how they've kind of shaped her, and sort of how there's sort of too, like, I feel like Tony needs sort of a new perspective a little bit. Like she's really in it because she puts her whole heart into everything. Oh gosh.
Sure.
Can you talk about her relationships and with Martha as well, and just how that kind of impacts Tony?
For sure. I mean, like, you know, you see her and Tony's a rough around the edges, ferocious young woman. But then you see that that trust and that loyalty and that connection that she has with Martha. And I think, you know, where her strength really lies is in those meaningful relationships. Like, you know, she doesn't trust a lot of people. She doesn't have a lot of people on her side, but the people that she does have are, you know, they're your rocks. You can't go through, you know, no matter who you are, like through your life alone. And I think through also her relationships with with the women on the island, each and every one of them like find their power in themselves through their relationships with these other women. I think about Dot and Fatten, you know, couldn't be more different, and they just like find this beautiful power in this friendship that they formed. And similarly with Tony and Shelby. And because I've been thinking a little bit about like the concept of the show and, like, you know, removing men and the male gaze and male influence, and like having this pure like female utopia in a sense. And you know, there is value in that, because, you know, you got to move to the other side of the conversation in order to, you know, negate all of that. But I think really, rather than this female utopia, what it really is about is highlighting that female relationships void of competition, void of you know, any of these other things where women have been pitted against each other, but through like strength together, as corny as it sounds, you know, like that's
but it's true.
100%. And like I feel that in my life as well, you know. I feel most sort of like empowered and lifted up through my female relationships.
Exactly. And I think seeing it in that way, seeing relationships not as competitive, like you said, but as, I don't know, like as in, you know, providing strength, providing comfort. And I couldn't help but like relate it to like what everyone's gone through this past year too. And I think that, you know, and a lot of women, we've had to evaluate a lot of our friendships, I think, and say to ourselves too, like, are we giving enough to this relationship?
Yeah.
Or are we not
Yeah.
getting enough in this relationship? Could we be a better friend? Could we be a better daughter? Could we be a better partner? And asking these questions that I think that there is some privilege that comes along with, or like a silver lining that comes along with these situations, like being stranded on an island and
Yeah.
being, you know, quarantined with someone. Or like,
Yeah. Well, I think that's why the sitting of like the island is it's such a useful like storytelling tool because it rips open your good, your bad, and your ugly for it to be fleshed
Mhm.
out so immediately. And you know, in any other situation when you meet somebody, you'll get there eventually. They'll see all your demons eventually. But I feel like
Yeah.
you know it just it just throws these women in it. You know what? It could totally exploded their faces, and there are some moments through episodes where it does, um but then like writing through all of that, and I know what you mean, like through you know lockdown and this quarantine situation, I
Yeah.
feel like at least my life, I feel like I've sort of like minimized down to like, okay, so what matters to me? It's like, you know, the people that
Mhm.
matter. It's like eating nice food, going for a
Mhm.
walk, you know, like it all just gets so
Mhm.
simplified down, and
Mhm.
assessing what and who like brings you
Yeah.
most strength in your life.